Hello and welcome to Rubaru. The fifth meeting of GST Council has turned out to be inconclusive as the impasse over the issue of SSC jurisdiction has continued and persisted through. Also, the ever-elusive issue of cross-empowerment has once again played the role of saboteur. The Council is yet to approve the draft legislations of subordinate legislations like the Central GST, State GST, IGST and the Compensation Law. Now, to further aggravate the situation, the bomb of demonetization has exploded at a time when the flight of GST was going through the hostile headwinds. The Union Finance Minister Shri Arun Jaitley has reiterated that the GST bill has to be activated and put in place before 16 September 2017 to fulfill the constitutional requirement. Now, to dwell deeper into the issue and to get the first-hand knowledge of what transpired during the fifth council meeting, we have a very special guest today, Shri Anurag Goyal, Commercial Taxes Commissioner, State of Assam. Hello and welcome, sir. So, at the outset, I wish to know what was the environment during the fifth council meeting, since a lot of disruptive issues was already hanging in the air.
Against the common perception, the environment during the fifth GST Council meeting was very accommodative, very positive.
Right.
It was not at all disruptive or hostile, which is, I think, a perception in a section of the media.
Right.
It was not at all there. The meeting was held for 1.5 days, and in a very accommodative atmosphere, the meeting discussed in detail, the council discussed in detail the provisions of the model CGST and the SGST Act. And in fact, to tell you that we were able to clear almost 9 chapters of the model act. It took time because the council was discussing the issues clause by clause, because finally it is going to affect the center, the states and all the stakeholders in the country.
Right.
So each clause was being discussed and the 9 chapters have been cleared. And what I perceive that in most of the chapters in the model CGST and SGST law, there is no difference of opinion except a few minor changes.
Right.
So we should be able to approve those minor changes in the next 6th GST Council meeting, which is slated on 11th and 12th.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but there is an issue of cross-empowerment, which was still hanging in the air. But again, yesterday we had a very healthy discussion for almost around 2 hours on this issue, where not only the existing 5 options which are there on the table were discussed, but also some new options were tabled, which were a mix of the earlier options. In fact, officers also met briefly yesterday before lunchtime to try to find out a solution. And in fact, there are some models which have come up, which are a mix of both the horizontal and vertical divide.
Vertical divide, right.
And I perceive, my personal perception is maybe 80% of the states might agree to that perception.
That's wonderful, sir.
So, since yesterday the meeting was closed to discuss some informal demonetization issue amongst the Union Finance Ministers and the State Finance Ministers, the issue of cross-empowerment will be carried forward to the next meeting. And we are hopeful that by the next meeting on 11th and 12th, we will be able to come at a solution on the cross-empowerment with a mix of horizontal and vertical divide.
Right. So, do you see the activation date of 1st April 2016 foreseeable? I mean, lately there have been few statements coming from different quarters that few latest development might delay the process of rollout.
No, I think states are from our state. Okay, we are well prepared to launch it on 1st April.
Perfect.
It's not a problem from our state at least. But what I perceive is that if the model or the draft CGST, SGST, IGST legislations, including the compensation law, which are already tabled with the GST Council and which we are sure that we should be able to sail through in the next GST Council meeting. If you are not able to clear those legislations in time, then there might be an issue, because all these legislations need to go to either the Parliament or the respective state assemblies to get cleared. And after that only it will become a law.
So, before the commencement of the 5th meeting of Council, a lot of been said and written about the effect of demonetization on the rollout GST. So, how do you see, look at this development?
See, so far as demonetization is concerned, what I personally perceive is not an issue connected with the rollout of GST. It's an issue maybe connected with maybe lack of purchasing power for few Indians
Right.
for next 3 to maybe 6 months or maybe 8 or 10 months.
So maybe a quarter or two.
Maybe a quarter or two.
Right.
Because GST rollout is totally independent of demonetization. Only thing is that what we are seeing is that India has been basically a cash economy. It has not
Right.
been a digital economy.
Right.
And therefore maybe purchasing power of people might go down for next 2 quarters, or they might not make those money purchases, and state revenues and maybe even central revenues may fall in the next 1 or 2 quarters. But what I foresee is that after 6 to 8 months or maybe within 2 quarters, this thing will bounce back, economy will be...
And the situation will be back to normal.
And people will definitely shift to digital economy.
Right, right. So on digital economy, I would like to ask, the cocktail of digital payment and the digital apparatus architecture of GST. That's right. So do you see both of them as a harbinger of change and bring a transparency in the system?
Yes, in fact, now I can foresee it is a very good and planned move by the government of India. In fact, if you see, they were planning a GST architecture which is totally digital, and this is not the thing of today. This is for the last 2 years when GSTN is already developing a software through Infosys, and each dealer now, whether it's a small dealer with a turnover of 20 lakhs or a big dealer with a turnover of 2,000 crores, everyone has to go to the GST portal for doing the business.
Right.
Whole payments are going to be e-payments only, and this will definitely complement with the demonetization move where India will shift to a digital currency.
Right.
So I foresee that definitely this is that model which will bring a sea change in Indian economy.
Right. Right.
And the biggest thing is that since the GSTN 15-digit number contains your 10-digit PAN number, so whatever turnover is declared on the GST portal by a trader will automatically be reflected in the income tax department. So that will definitely bring transparency in the entire business operations in the country.
Right, right. So are there any provisions in the model law which are creating a divergence between the council?
See, until the issue of cross empowerment is discussed settled,
right.
There are going to be certain provisions in CGST, SGST and IGST law which are related to those cross empowerment.
Right.
Those are the only issues which are to be settled. So once we are settled with the issue of cross empowerment, I think those sections which are the contentious sections will automatically get settled. And other sections, as I told you, yesterday we were able to clear 9 chapters of the CGST and SGST law.
Right.
There was clause by clause discussion and in those clauses, some very good suggestions have come from some states.
Right.
And which have been accepted by the council.
Right. This is the whole purpose of the council.
Yes, which have been accepted. And it's not that suggestion which has come is anti-center or anti-some state. It is for benefit of everyone, including the trade.
Right, sir. Now, sir, moving forward, I wish to, take us through the gateway of Northeast, that is Assam. So, how is Assam gearing for the GST? Since Assam being the first state to ratify the bill.
See, first of all, I think under the guidance of Finance Minister, Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma, Assam was very clear that GST is going to be beneficial for the state. Right? And so, as you know, it's part of history now that Assam was the first state to ratify the Constitutional Amendment Bill. And accordingly, we are getting ourselves ready for launch of GST on 1st of April 2017 if it is rolled out by Government of India.
Right. So, what about the officers training?
Okay, see, on all fronts it has been started. In fact, to tell you that we have got around 500 odd officers, out of which we have already trained 400 officers on GST law.
Okay.
And the last 100 officers are going to be trained from 12th to 16th December at Guwahati.
Right.
So that will those 100 officers plus 100 officers of Central Excise, which I am coordinating with the Commissioner of Central Excise in Guwahati. So those 200 officers are going to be trained from 12 December.
Right.
And that will mark on 16th December will mark the end of the GST law training so far as Assam is concerned.
Okay, okay. So what about the awareness program? Since a lot of small traders has inhibitions towards the GST, like a lot of compliance part is there which is to be looked after. So awareness campaigns are also being taken at the state level?
In fact, for the last 2 months, I have been traveling extensively across the state. And I have been meeting the different trade bodies and chartered accountant bodies in district level. In district level. And we have organized those, I will say, informal workshops with them. Where we have made them aware about the GST law, what are the provisions. They were having some misgivings which we were able to clear. And in fact, now GSTN has also come up with a module where the GSTN will also hold half-day workshops in different cities.
Okay. In
For
every
which
state.
logistics will be provided by us.
Okay.
But they will provide the trained manpower
Right.
on making the stakeholders aware about the GSTN front end. That means the people who have now started migrating to the GSTN portal, the existing taxpayers, how they will register, how they will make payments, how they will submit returns, so that half-day workshop, they will support us by providing their manpower.
Right.
While we will arrange the logistics. So, we have already talked to our stakeholders in a meeting on 30th November held in Guwahati.
Right.
That they will give us the dates and then we will tie up with GSTN and we will hold 4 or 5 workshops across the state on different dates after taking the dates from GSTN.
Right, sir.
So that on the software part also there is awareness program.
Okay.
In fact, on the law part, there have been awareness programs in the state for the last 2.5 months.
Okay.
And different chapters of chartered accountant societies, cost accountants, different trade bodies have organized these seminars on GST where they have called the officers from the state taxation department as well as central excise department as special speakers, to guide them.
Right, sir, right. Now, sir, this whole process is based on a digital plank. A lot of digitization is going on. So, sir, how much the Assam state is ready? IT preparedness of the Assam state?
Okay, so far as Assam state is concerned, see, we are a Model 2 state. The Model 2 state means our both front end and back end is being prepared by GSTN.
Okay.
Right? There is a concept of Model 1 state where it is only the front end.
Okay, sir. Okay.
And there is a concept of Model 2 where it both front end and back end. Now, front end is compulsory for all the states and union territories to be taken from GSTN.
GSTN. Okay.
So, that means there will be a common front end throughout the country.
Right, sir, right.
Back end is the application where our own officers will work.
Right.
Suppose as a trader you have submitted an application, so how that application is processed in my back end,
okay.
That back end application is also being prepared for Assam by GSTN.
Right, sir. So, now if we dwell on the revenue part of the Assam state. So what is the total revenue collection?
See, last year from the taxation department it was 8,600 crores.
Okay.
Right, and this year we were targeting around 10,000 crores.
Right, sir.
Right. But this figure might come down by 1,000 crores due to this demonetization in the last 5 months.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
From November to March, for 5 months, our average hit is going to be around 180 crores to 200 crores.
Okay, sir.
Because as I said, that markets are empty and people are not purchasing.
Right, sir. Right. So, and there is some southward movement as well in the revenue. So since the the market are a little bit taken back by the demonetization as well. So it creates overall ripple effect.
Correct.
Right, sir. So what are the different revenue sources the Assam state has? Since I have read that more than 60% population is engaged into agriculture.
See that apart, if you see my 30-35% revenue actually comes from petroleum sector.
Right.
Because we have got refineries.
Right, sir. Right.
We have got oil exploration companies.
Right, sir. Right.
So my 30-35% revenue comes from oil sector, which is outside GST. 5 major products. As you know.
Right.
Right. And that's my biggest revenue source.
Right. Sir.
Single revenue source. And how GST is going to benefit us is, in fact, since Assam is mostly a consuming state.
Consuming state. Right. Right.
So most of the things we get from outside. Our manufacturing is there, but it's less. So we export much less than what we import.
Right. Sir.
So GST in net is going to be beneficial for us.
Right, sir. So Assam, as we know, is known for the Assam tea.
Yeah.
Right, we recognize that part of our country as a tea base. So, sir, are these plantations also outside the bracket of taxes?
Not exactly.
Not exactly. Okay.
See, in fact, these plantations are taxed under an act which is outside GST. One is that tea sold, the final tea which has been made.
Right.
When that tea is sold, that is under GST.
Okay.
That will be under the 5% slab.
5% slab.
That is proposed to be under 5% slab. So far, whatever discussions have taken place.
Right.
And presently also tea is being taxed at 5% in most of the states.
Right.
So tea is going to be retained at 5%.
Right. Sir.
Presently, tea was at first point of sale where they were not getting any input tax credit.
Okay.
But now under GST, they will get 5% with ITC. That means the effective rate is going to be lesser.
Lesser. Okay.
Right. So tea is going to be a bit benefited. But apart from these, there are two other taxes on tea which are not under the GST regime in our state. One is the Assam taxation on specified lands, where we tax actually the land which produces certain things. So there are lands which produces coal, oil, tea. So the cess on tea is levied on a few paisa per kg of tea produced, because it is difficult for us to measure the land and go into all details. So based on the production of tea. But there is another thing, that whenever there is a tea garden or a tea company which has composite incomes, either they have only a tea factory or they have a composite income of a tea garden with tea factory, then they are also taxable under the Income Tax Act. So what they do is that they submit an audit report for each year's business income to the Income Tax Department, and once the Income Tax Department accepts that audit report, 40% of their income is treated as business income, and it is liable for income tax under the IT Act 1961. And the remaining 60% income is chargeable to the state agriculture income tax, which is to the state commercial tax department.
Also, so Assam acts as a gateway, to visit other northeastern sisters as well. So since states will get to tax services, post implementation of GST. So now, a major thrust would go into developing services, like tourism and hospitality. These avenues can be explored.
Definitely. See, because the luxury tax also goes inside GST. Right. So there are definitely avenues where we can, where I personally feel that we must have a joint tourism policy with other states of the Northeast. Where we should sell Northeast as a destination and not as only Assam. So that if somebody wants to come to Northeast, he should have a circuit of 3-4 places in Assam, one or two in Manipur, one or two in Nagaland, one or two in Meghalaya, and go back after 10-12 days. But I think that's, I'm not really very competent to comment on the tourism sector.
So maybe the regional connectivity scheme, might do wonder.
Yes, it might do wonders. Our state is actively considering. In fact, our Honorable Finance Minister has asked us to give our views on reducing the VAT on the aviation turbine fuel to 1% as per the RCS scheme. If we once we give that, I think it will give a fillip to the new airports within Northeast. Connectivity will improve.
Wonderful. So one pertinent question I wish to ask is, the role played by Assam in development of GST into other neighboring states, the 7 sisters. The caring role played by the bigger sister, you can say.
Oh, it's not bigger versus smaller. It's basically, again, I'm saying cooperative federalism. We are strategically placed because we are gateway to the Northeast. What we have done so far is that even in the training of master trainers of GST law, for the other smaller states in the Northeast, we have accommodated the master trainers of those states during the trainings held in Guwahati since October. Since August, in fact, where the trainers from other states have also been trained in our facilities through NACEN, the National Academy of Central Excise and Narcotics, who is the nodal agency for training on GST law. And as I already told you that 16th December, we are finishing, so far our state is concerned, the training of entire state tax officials as well as the central excise officials on the GST law.
Assam is totally GST ready for this implementation and activation of 1st April 2016. 2017, sorry, I would say. 2017. So, thank you so much for your time. It was such an enriching experience, to talk to you and know about the northeast side of our country, which is very close to our heart. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.